Hello and welcome. It's a real pleasure to have you here in, well, let's call it the laboratory of the text. Today we're going to peel back the skin of the document, look right inside and reveal its anatomy. We're going way beyond what you see on the screen, that finished static page, and we're getting our hands on the raw material itself. And this right here is the fundamental shift we need to make. In the humanities, we're trained to interpret meaning, to read between the lines. But in this lab, we're going to treat text as a material object, as data, as something with a structure. And believe me, this one idea, it changes everything. Now, I know the word programming can sound a little intimidating, right? But I want you to try and reframe it. Think of it less like engineering and more like sketching. It's a way to ask questions of your material, to poke and prod at it, to explore possibilities, and really to discover where your project is going as you create it. Okay, so any artist knows that to work with a material, you first have to understand its properties. Our raw material is text, but we're going to see it in a totally new light. Not as words on a page, but as a collection of threads just waiting to be woven. So our first concept is the string. A string is really simple. It's just a sequence of characters. It's the raw thread of our textual fabric. And the first thing we can do with it is concatenation. All that means is, using a simple plus sign, we can start tying these threads together. And this is a really crucial distinction. This isn't mathematics. We're not adding numbers here. We're performing a creative act. We are literally weaving a new semantic fabric, stitching a subject to a predicate to assert a new reality. We are programmatically making a statement. All right, so now that we understand our raw material, let's look at the artist's tools. These are the things we can use to deconstruct the document and find all those hidden patterns within the weave. I want you to think of a string, like a strip of film. Indexing is our ability to point to a single, specific frame, one character. But slicing is where the real editorial power is. It's the artist's cut. It lets us extract a specific scene and give it brand new meaning just by changing its context. This is just a perfect example of deformation as discovery. With one simple command, a slice, we can play the film backward. And we're not just reversing letters here. We're deforming the original word to reveal a whole new structure, a new texture that was hidden inside it all along. So where do we put all these pieces that we're slicing and dicing? Well, we put them in a list. A list is your inventory, it's your gallery. It's this wonderfully flexible container where you can store all the fragments of your story. The individual words from a pledge, character names from a novel, absolutely anything you choose. Okay, so you've got your inventory. Now you need a way to interact with it, right? That's iteration. Think of it as an automated walk through your gallery. The machine just moves from item to item, and at each one, it pauses to perform whatever action you've defined. This is the rhythm of computational analysis. Our work doesn't just happen in a vacuum. We need to bring these cultural artifacts into our laboratory. So reading a file is like pulling a book, maybe Moby Dick, from the shelf of this vast digital archive. Then, after we've dissected it, transformed it, writing a file is how we publish our new version back out into the world. Now let's connect the dots. This is where technique meets purpose. We can actually use these tools for an act of resistance, for glitching the narrative. This is where we go from knowing how to manipulate text to really understanding why we're doing it. I want you to really consider this question. So often we're presented with these master narratives, these official stories we're supposed to accept. Well, these tools, they give us a way to respond, to deconstruct those scripts, and to achieve a kind of narrative sovereignty. And this gets to a crucial point. A glitch can be a profound act of resistance. Programmatically, it's often just a slice taken out of context. You are literally using code to refuse to render the official story. You're taking only the fragments you need to assemble your own. Theory is vital, of course, but true discovery really happens in practice. So let's create your first sketch. Let's put these ideas into motion and actually make something, a new neo-artifact. Here's the process. It's pretty straightforward. First, pick some standard text. Then use the split method to unravel it into a list of words. Now, here comes the creative part. Manipulate that list. Sort it, slice it, reverse it, go wild. And finally, join the pieces back into a new, glitched string and publish your neo-artifact to a file. You've just done a complete cycle of digital inquiry. How cool is that? Finally, to help you continue with your own work, let's create a study guide. Think of this as a framework for your notes that uses the loom as a central metaphor. It's all about prioritizing artistic craft over cold clinical syntax. Let's really lean into the loom as our central metaphor. The string, that's the thread. Concatenation is weaving. Slicing, well, that's the scissors, letting us snip out specific patterns. Splitting a string into a list is like unraveling the whole cloth. And iteration? Iteration is the weaver itself, that automated shuttle moving across the loom, touching and transforming every single thread. And that right there is the real takeaway. We've shown you the loom, the thread, the shuttle, and the scissors. These tools are not just for engineers anymore. They belong to artists, to poets, to thinkers. So the only question left is for you. What new fabrics will you weave?